and welcome. My name is Desiree Shaw and I'm a psychotherapist and I vlog and I podcast. Welcome to my channel. Why you react the way that you do when you are stressed. Stress is different for absolutely everyone. We interpret stress, we deal with stress in a particular way that is unique to us. But why do you do what you do? Have you ever been in that situation where you repeat the same behaviour over and over again, not knowing why you're doing it, but knowing that this is all that you know, even though you know it's counterproductive? So I've talked about the fight, flight, freeze, and it's all about your fight, flight, freeze. In fact, your fight, flight, freeze, appease. That sounds like, what the hell am I talking about? So I have got a video on this, but I'm going to recap. So your fight, flight, freeze system has been ingrained in you. Your makeup is a part of you. It's part of how you deal with life. We are only human. We are created to safety seek. So we enter situations and what we're doing is we're trying to seek safety at all times, which means we are in the threat system. This is the red zone. This is where we threat, detect, protect. And in the threat system, we are basically held captive by how we have interpreted a situation, which has triggered our amygdala at the back of the brain, which is responsible for all of the way that we behave when we become stressed, particularly when we believe we're in imminent danger. So this is where the body starts to overproduce cortisol and adrenaline, which starts to rush around the body and you just feel like, I've got to do this thing, I've got to do this, I've got to act, I've got to do this, okay? And what happens is, once you have been triggered, you will just be in the threat zone, detecting and protecting. So you'll probably have a set of maladaptive behaviours that stop you from reaching your actual destination, your actual goal, and probably be counterproductive. Be it anger, be it disgust, be it fear, be it avoidance, be it being submissive. It's the go-to behaviour that you go to when you don't know what else to do and all you've been doing is the same thing that you've always done. Okay, and that is because of the information that your mind has picked up about what is going on around you. So imagine your brain is like a computer, right? Your brain is like a computer and your mind is the operating system. And if your operating system is set to threat, detect, protect, you're going to be on the high alert at all times, regardless, okay? Even when the situation doesn't call for it. I meet clients so often who say to me, I don't even know why I was so stressed. I don't even understand why I did that. Because they were living in that threat, detect, protect zone where they either try to over-control, they over-organize, OCD, stress, the fear of not knowing how to manage in a situation, and possibly what may even happen is might even turn to some addictive behaviours in order to cope. So as humans, we are designed to safety seek. Now besides the threat zone, this is where we were originally created when we lived amongst the animals and we had no way of organising things because we just had to survive. This is our survival instinct. Now this really does work for us when we are in imminent danger. But if we're not in imminent danger, it's counterproductive. So your threat system may work against you most of the time in everyday life, but it's not something that you turn off and you never use again. Because if there is a person with an axe chasing you down the road, you are absolutely going to go into your fight, flight, freeze. You need to run, flight, get away. You need to fight to get away. You need to freeze, to hide. And sometimes you do all three in succession of the other, depending on what is necessary. So if this person has got you by the neck and they've got this axe in their hand, you will fight. You'll fight. And then you will run. And then you may hide. You freeze. You keep still. That makes sense. But when it doesn't make sense is when you are at work facing a presentation or some kind of interaction with colleagues or family or friends or getting married or doing something, and you've gone into that threat zone where you don't know what to do and you cannot perform. It's distinguishing, am I in imminent danger or not? And this is where the brain becomes a bit tricky. Now, besides the threat system, this is the zone of the red, the I am powerless to actually act in a rational manner because I'm in fear of what's going to happen to me. I'm in fear of the judgment. I'm in fear of not being accepted. I'm in fear of what people are going to say about me. I'm in fear of what that means about me. I'm in fear of being a failure. When you're in fear of all of those things, you're in the threat mode. Now, besides the threat mode, we've got the drive mode. So once we were living amongst the animals and we decided to create things, so the person who made the will, this was driven, the drive system, to create change, resources, adapt, interact, make things happen. This is when we get that dopamine hit. Whoosh, this is where the adrenaline and cortisol is no longer taking over our body. We're now in dopamine, feel good. Now, the thing with dopamine is this. Now, this is a completely different part of the brain. Your dopamine triggers a different part of the brain. In fact, I can't even pronounce it. I tried to, but I'll put it up. You'll see it somewhere on the screen. Now, here is where you will seek, achievement. You will do things. You will create things. And because of being able to do that, we get that feeling of achievement, that satisfaction. Hey, I passed the course. Great. Feel achieved. Got that promotion. Achieved. Bought a new car. Achieved. Got married. Achieved. Having children. Achieved. That feeling of I have done something. But the problem with the drive system is that it's always under threat. Okay? And it's always under threat because when you're not achieving, you'll be wondering, what now? What now? I'm not achieving. Oh my God, life is really bad because I'm not achieving. Actually, this is the problem. So we go back into the threat zone. Threat, detect, protect. I'm not achieving. Someone's doing better than me. Someone's got more than me. I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. Oh my God, this is terrible. You go back there until you start to achieve again. And because we are not achieving all the time, we don't sustain achievement every single day. You achieve the fact that you wake up and you could do things, but you're not achieving, and you don't get a promotion every day, do you? You don't buy a new house, a new car every day. You don't have children every day. You don't buy new shoes you might buy new shoes every day, but that achievement. Now, the thing with the dopamine is we're constantly looking for that hit to feel good. Now, this is where addictions are particularly created. Because of the threat, detect, protect, not feeling good, wanting to get away from that feeling because we want to get away, flight, avoid, we find that peace, that kind of connectivity, that equilibrium in things such as where we can overdo it, but where our dopamine feels is getting that hit. Exercise, over-exercise. But when we exercise, we do feel that sense of accomplishment, yeah? That vitality that it gives us. Sex, that is a sense of achievement. And that can become addictive, okay? Drugs and alcohol, absolutely. Need that dopamine hit. Don't want to go into the threat zone. Go straight to the dopamine hit. More dopamine. Get the alcohol, feel better. Take the drugs, feel better, okay? OCD. I must perform these rituals and these behaviours in order to feel safe. That dopamine hit, the threat system drives you there, okay? Now, when you're ping-ponging between the threat and the dopamine, your body, your chemicals, your mind is all going through a lot of change, and sometimes it's too much to cope with. Now remember, your brain is the computer, your mind is the operating system. The mind is where the magic happens. The mind is how you get the brain to work for you, yeah? So as opposed to trying to stop yourself from feeling stress, you understand your stress. You understand how you are perceiving, what you are doing, how and why, what your triggers are. Your triggers are the key. It's interpreting your triggers effectively. Your triggers are not the problem. It's how you perceive the trigger. It's your belief. If you watch my video on the ABC, you'll see Everything is based on that B, not the trigger. The trigger could be something absolutely terrible that actually happened. However, the trigger is not the problem. Okay? It's how you are perceiving the problem. That's the problem. It's what that problem means to you. And you'll be going in and out between threat, detect, protect, and dopamine hit. I just want to feel good. Because that's what we do. I want to feel good. Now, anybody that comes to see me, I always say this to them, and it sounds pretty harsh, but my job is not to make you feel good. That sounds so mean. It's not. It's to help you understand and accept yourself. That's my job. Help you identify your triggers. Help you cope and manage and create safe working practices in order to support yourself through discomfort. Life has many uncomfortable situations that befall us, all of us. When you are deciding that all you must feel is good, you're in threat, detect, protect. Because the moment you don't feel good, you feel bad, and you decide that that means something about you. But it actually doesn't. Okay? Now, going for that dopamine hit will have you back in the threat zone. Now, there's this underdeveloped part of us, which is the all-encompassing well-being self-soothing. This is the area of support. This is the area of where we find our own connection within ourselves and our connection to others. And we can be kind to ourselves. We can support ourselves. We can bring ourselves through situations. We can accept the good with the bad. We can deal. This is where we create our own opiates and oxytocin. I don't know if I said that right. I might have done. But if I didn't, I will put it up. You'll see it somewhere. This is where you can balance yourself. And balancing means that you can recognize, oh, I'm under threat right now. What is the threat? Oh, it's this presentation and I feel that everyone's going to judge me and I'm going to feel really bad. This is terrible. No, actually, no, it's not terrible. There is an amount of stress that will come with that. And that's okay. But it's when you magnify and catastrophize that stress that it becomes a threat. And when you need the feeling of acceptance and approval, that is when you will plummet. You will go all the way down because you're in that threat mode. Okay? So this is why you do what you do. Okay? You do it because of the threat. You do it because you want the dopamine hit. And you do it because your self-soothing system is underdeveloped. For all of us, which is why we look to things like religion. Very few of us, not all of us, have developed that well-being equilibrium of comfortable discomfort. That sounds nuts. How can you be comfortable in the discomfort? Well, that's the key to coping and dealing and getting yourself through all the pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional. We choose to suffer when we do not accept what is actually happening in front of us. When we take our ideas and thoughts from the way that we have been self-managing throughout life as a child, growing up with all these ideas about ourselves and others, we actually take ourselves into the suffering. The pain will happen. And it's being able to deal with the pain. Being able to make room for the pain. Now, I'm using ideologies from different methods of CBT, cognitive behaviour therapy. I have used some REBT, I've used some compassion-focused therapy, and I've used some ACT and commitment therapy within this segment to explain why you do what you do when you are stressed out. What you need to do is develop your well-being, your self-soothing, the way in which you cope, the way in which you manage, the way in which you interpret, the way in which you connect with yourself and others. Then you will not have the need for addictive behaviours in order to feel good. You will not have the need to seek approval from others or fear being rejected, because you will naturally be in the zone of your own emotional calm, which allows the distress. Because life is up and down. It is not just one flat line. It's not. Because if it was a flat line, you would actually be dead. Actually, That's why it kind of goes like that. Actually, I think I just worked that out. You know, when you look at the monitor and that beep, it's always going up and down and it beeps and goes up. That is life. That is life. Beep, beep, it is. That is life. The flat line isn't life. We keep trying to strive for this absolute harmony and peace without discord. That is the wrong direction. And why so many of us get caught up in our own mess all the time, because we're seeking something that actually is impossible to achieve. So when you get comfortable with the discomfort, when you learn how to tolerate it, and then from tolerating it, accepting yourself, being compassionate to your suffering and understanding how to relieve it, that's when you find the magic. So that's why you do what you do, and that's why you get so stressed out, because you're living in that threat zone. My name is Desiree Shaw, and I'm a psychotherapist. I vlog and I podcast. I practice at the Priory and privately. I'm on a mission to make therapy accessible and change the world one thought at a time. And if you're interested and you want to come and speak to me, you can. Otherwise, there is another way you can access the therapy in which I do, which is these courses, which are called SAD courses. I know, SAD. Why would you buy a SAD course? It's an acronym for suicide prevention, anxiety, and depression. Being able to support yourself managing particular areas of your life at your own pace with an online course. And if you want to know more, just email me. Thank you so much for listening, and